Am I the asshole for not telling my mom I own her house? My wife and I have been having a discussion and she finds it really weird that I'm keeping this secret. I bought a house prior to COVID and so during the lockdowns I was able to get some really cheap contracting done because people needed work. I got it fixed up to rent it out, not to my mom, but just anybody. When it became clear people were losing jobs I didn't want to rent to a stranger just to kick them out, so I kept renovating at a slow pace just to keep the house on the ups. Fast forward. I find out my mom is being evicted for not paying rent. I refuse to send my mom money. I used to and it damn near made me broke. She has a gambling addiction and drinking problem. She lost her job. So I tell her I have a friend who owns a house one state over. With nothing to lose she found a job out of state. Applied with an agent I know out there who handled the beginning part but really it's my house and she wouldn't have been approved otherwise. I rent it to her at below market rate but enough to where I know she's not wasting all money on gambling and drinking. My brother and his son also live there. She didn't tell management, that go figure. So my wife is like, I want to go see the house. I tell her what I did and she doesn't seem to understand that I never told my mom it's my house and why. As soon as I tell her it's my house she's going to go back to being irresponsible and it's bad enough my brother is freeloading there too but this is going to be a financial burden on us if we tell her. As of now, it's not because she thinks some company owns it. Not the asshole, your mom has a serious problem and this is a great way to keep her from being homeless while keeping your own boundaries intact. I just hope you can get your girlfriend to see it that way so she doesn't go spilling the beans behind your back or something. XD. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes and the award. Not the asshole. It's mutually beneficial for you and for your mom as it stands currently. You have a renter, she makes more responsible choices and keeps a roof over her head. That being said, be prepared for this to blow up in your face if she ever finds out you are the homeowner. I think you're not the asshole for renting to your mom without telling her. Like another commenter said, it's the perfect solution to keep her out of the streets without throwing money into a black hole. However, why is it that it took your wife asking about the house for you to tell her about all of this? Aren't you partners? It's a bit weird to me that you never mentioned you were moving your mom into the house you've been renovating. Edit. Judgment. You are the asshole, and a massive one, for this line. So my wife is like, I want to go see the house. I tell her what I did and she doesn't seem to understand that I never told my mom it's my house and why. How the hell did you make this decision without talking to your wife? NTA, it's smart in the long run and keeps her in line and taking responsibility otherwise she might freeload too. Not the asshole. I'd say it's a smart measure to help your mom back on her feet and not feed into her addiction. But I can also see your mom freak out and blame you if she finds out, which is also a normal reaction. Even in that case, I would still say not the asshole. You are the asshole for doing this without clearing it with your wife. You now have an asset that's losing money, and probably a lot of money that's sunk into it. What's more, you have a tenant who you know is a terrible tenant, and who has a strong probability of turning into a nightmare tenant. She could turn your property into a full-on liability. Let's hope she doesn't take to illegal activities since you, as the landlord, could be on the liability hook for them. I understand why you did it, and I'd likely do the same, but you have opened up you and your wife to liability without discussing it with your wife. That's uncool. Not the asshole, it seems like you've found a way to keep her safe but also for her to stay on point with being responsible for paying for accommodation. Knowing she needs to stump up, and having been evicted before, could help give her some structure and hopefully keep her on track to turn her life around. You are the asshole. During the lockdowns I was able to get some really cheap contracting done because people needed work. When it became clear people were losing jobs I didn't want to rent to a stranger just to kick them out. If 2020 was a movie, you'd definitely be the greedy villain. IDK why you think it's different in reality. Not the asshole. You have long years of knowing how manipulative and irresponsible she is. This is your way of helping her without her biting the hand that's feeding her. Let her live there for now. If she becomes a problem tenant, you have to decide whether or not to kick her out as management. Overall, this is the safest route for you. You are the asshole. Not for not telling your mom, but not telling your wife. Even though the house is in your name, you shouldn't keep financial secrets from your spouse. Small indiscretions like separate bank accounts for small items is usually okay, but renting a house below market rate is pretty big. Your wife may assume that you were getting market rate. This is just a way of secretly loaning your mother money. There's nothing wrong with helping your mom, and kudos for finding a way that genuinely appears to be helping her, but don't sneak behind your wife's back. Your post is confusing. You ask if you're the asshole for not telling your mom you own her house, but then the description asks if you're the asshole for not telling your wife. You are not the asshole for withholding the info from your mom, and you are the asshole for not telling your wife about it from the start. I don't get why you didn't tell your wife everything anyway. Skeptical smiley face. You are the asshole. Not for the home setup. That sounds like a remarkably good way to help your mom without enabling her, a practically impossible balance with people like her. You're the asshole because something as big as this absolutely should have been discussed with your wife. Not the asshole. You're an incredibly good person and good son. In a perfect world there would be no secrets, but I can't think of a better solution that teaches your family responsibility while still giving them a helping hand. Exploiting workers desperate for work in order to save more money on a place you're using to profit off other people needing a roof over their head. Cool. Not the asshole for deceiving your mom, especially if this will keep her from breaking her lease and from being homeless. Although I think it might have been smart to include your wife in your plans, especially if she has any joint ownership of the property. As soon as I tell her it's my house, she's going to go back to being irresponsible. Not the asshole 100%. She would call you ungrateful and demand that she live free. Somehow you will, her, it's better that she doesn't know. Not the asshole, neither is your wife for having questions. I can't begin to imagine what it must be like to have an addict for a mother, but it sounds like you're just trying to do what's best without being taken advantage of. Info: how finances work for you too. It seems you bought an investment property with your wife. Assuming this, you would be the asshole for not consulting her first, as it is also her investment. You are the asshole, because you took advantage of struggling workers during a pandemic, and because you suggested you'd evict tenants during a pandemic, and because you kept this whole situation a secret from your mom without telling your wife. But it seems like the living situation for your non is suitable for both of you, so cheers on that, I guess. Not the asshole. You know your mom will take advantage of the situation, so it's better to keep it a secret. Not the asshole. When you tell her, plan falls apart. Not the asshole. I see your point entirely and agree with it. You've managed to turn a lose-lose into a win-win. Congrats. She may find out someday, but that is a minor consideration in my opinion, and I'd do whatever I could to keep her ignorant of the facts for as long as possible. Good luck, op. You're helping her not be homeless, but you're still enabling some super shitty behavior. Not the asshole. You found the perfect way to help your mom without allowing her to become dependent on you. Don't let her find out. The second she does, she'll stop paying rent with the justification that she gave birth to you, so you owe her. You'll never see another dime, and she'll probably live there until she passes or until a lengthy legal battle puts an end to your relationship. Not the asshole. Smart move. Info: are you planning on ever renting this out to other people, or is this now your mom's forever home? Because otherwise, how do you see this going down the road? Even with the standard scumbaggery of landlords set aside, you are the asshole. If you were single, no, you WNBTA. However, you're married to someone and didn't tell them about this major financial decision that could possibly have a huge amount of fallout. Not cool. Not the asshole with mom. You are the asshole with wife. Wife owns the home too. She should have been informed and discussed with in advance. Look, my first instinct is this is super weird, and I can't imagine doing this at all. But my mother isn't an addict, and I haven't had any of the experiences you've had or had to dealing with bailing out someone with money they then blow in their addiction, so I kinda figure you aren't an asshole and you are doing the best you can to keep that line between not enabling but still supporting. I would worry that it'll blow up in your face if your mom or brother ever finds out, but hopefully it'll work out. No assholes here. Your wife is inching to that line if she pushes it further, but I can understand that it is possibly outside her comprehension that you would have to do this. Not the asshole. It's actually an incredibly kind thing to do. Not sure why you never told your wife, that's odd. But you are a good person for helping your mom. Good deeds don't have to be known. TBH, this whole post feels like karma bait. Not the asshole. Move the house out of your name to an LLC. Don't name the LLC something that will tie back to you. Not the asshole. You are the asshole for not telling your wife and for the way you disrespectfully talk about her and make yourself seem like an empathetic hero of the story because your money decisions are fueled by emotion, aka lack of foresight, while your wife rules with an iron fist and makes logic-based money choices. There's also something to be said about your wife believing in your mom's ability to pick herself back up if you stop enabling her. You should be more transparent and talk things over with your wife. She sounds wise. Why are absolutely the asshole for being involved in financial decisions, obligations without being 100 billion% transparent with your partner. Ask your wife if she wants to pay your mother's and brother's living expenses, because that will happen if they find out. And they will not take care of the property and you will have to do a lot more fixes after. I'm baffled that your wife doesn't seem to understand you. Don't you guys talk about these things? Either way, not the asshole. You are the asshole for not giving all the details to your wife. NTA for not telling your mom to keep her on track. Info: are you the sole owner or is it jointly owned with your wife? Not the asshole. As many others have observed, this is actually quite a good way of taking care of family members who are emotional vampires at a safe distance and with healthy boundaries. Info: why not tell your wife from the beginning? How has your mother not figured this out? Who does she write the rent check to? Not the asshole. I assume the only reason you know about your brother and his son is because your brother has told you and not because the agent helping you manage the property found out. Perhaps you could ask the agent to complete an inspection on your behalf so you then at least have it recorded somewhere about your brother living there as well? Otherwise, if you end up needing to evict her in the future, it would be a bit harder without the third party keeping your anonymity. My mother also had a gambling problem, and if I was in the same position as you, then I would probably do a similar thing. At least this way you can try to look after them at an arm's length without them knowing, taking advantage of it. Nah. It seems like you are justified in keeping the secret. I also don't see how your wife could be considered an asshole for wanting to see the investment property. Going against the curve with Esh. Your mom sucks for obvious reasons. Your wife sucks for wanting it out in the open, despite your reasonable boundary. You suck for not explaining everything to your wife. Emo: you should frame this as, look, either I can help mom with a low rent house that we lose a bit of market rent on and she, and my loser brother, have a place to live, _or I support mom financially. She goes into renting a dump and starts the spiral into gambling again with the difference in the stipend and what she pays in rent and ends up homeless in 2 years. A complete cutoff is not morally acceptable, and this is the lesser evil. Info: is the interpersonal conflict with your wife or with your mom? Did your wife understand your explanation? Not the asshole. I was a bit confused at first, but once I realized this was your way of making sure she doesn't take advantage of you, I absolutely get it. Solid plan to deal with a parent like that. Good job at helping you mom out and still protecting yourself. Not the asshole. Your wife doesn't understand, but it doesn't mean you're wrong. Swear her to secrecy. Other posts here: some spouses do what they think is best for the other and ruin everything. Good luck and good job. Not the asshole. Normally would be, but given you're helping your mum despite her having screwed you for money in the past and nothing bad is happening to her as a result of this, definitely not the asshole.